coming.
So, short backstory: when we start talking about doing this show, I sought out Tommy. It was like, hey, like, what the fuck is this about to be? And then Tommy essentially says, you got KD. You're fine. It'll be cool from there.
You just throw the ball up in the air and you get the fuck out of the way.
It's almost verbatim. Like, it was probably that text in my phone. So happy to have you guys. Been a fan of the show forever.
Kevin and I was at the game on Sunday night with my 7-year-old Knox. We were sitting second row when you got to 21st. You passed Reggie. Congratulations. Bro, it was a rough game for the Nets. Knox was trying to get your attention. I gave like a 5-minute soliloquy on the Uber ride over about Kevin. I'm like, Knox, he's 7. I mean, he's getting into basketball, but he's obsessed. And I'm like, all right, so number 7 for the Nets. This is what I want you to focus on. So every time you did something, he was going nuts. It was a cool moment as a dad.
So what's it like, I guess, preparing to guard Kevin Durant for a week? Because it cannot be fun. It cannot be.
I can't remember what our specific game plan is. I don't remember us doubling you a lot in that series. And also, we should clarify, like I'm not preparing to guard Kevin Durant. Matt Barnes was preparing to guard Kevin Durant. Actually, truthfully, one of my career highlights, and I mean this sincerely, on the defensive end was your first year in Golden State. And we were playing in LA. I was still with the Clippers. And you ISO'd me on the right wing in front of our bench and give me a little shimmy, and you went baseline, and I stripped you going up. The ball went out of bounds off you, and I was like, I fucking got to stop on KD. I got to stop on KD.
I was fucking pissed.
You let this guy strip you?
Only time I get ISO on JJ, I fucking let it go out of bounds off my leg.
Kev, what'd you think about those old Clipper teams? Because when we had Draymond on a couple months ago, and he was talking, he did
not think highly of you guys.
What did he say? He said you were front runners?
Didn't y'all beat them though before Steve Kerr got there?
We beat them to play y'all in 14. It was a 7-game series, and that was in the middle of the Donald Sterling thing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So that happened right after we had won Game 3, and we were still in San Fran. But that series, so we play y'all in the second round in 2014. That series was very competitive, 2-2. We're in OKC for Game 5. We're up 11.
We're playing horrible
with a little over 4 minutes to go, and we just have an uber meltdown.
Yeah, it was. Because we were looking at the clock and we weren't making any shots that whole game. I probably was like 6 for like 22. We couldn't make threes. It was one of those games. But we got like a steal here, fast break layup. We just scored quick, and then CP had a turnover.
It's probably the play that series is most known for, is that CP turnover in the backcourt.
Well, right before that, I think that was when you hit the 3 off the inbounds. I
hit a 3 over,
on the right wing.
Wild ass 3 too, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but it was quick too. Yeah. And we were at the point, it was similar. Honestly, I fucking hate saying this, but it was similar to like a college team trying to run the clock out. That's how we handled those last 4 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
So all we're thinking about is like, let's run the clock out. Let's run the clock out. And they take the ball out of bounds, and Kevin hits a 3 off the inbounds over. I can't remember who hit it over, but it was
Baby. It was Big Baby and Matt Barnes. They were both trailing. I was damn near open. I'm like, damn, that's a good look. Right here. That cut it fast.
And then CP tries to get a 3-point shot just behind half court because Russ went to go foul him,
which was a ridiculous decision.
Yeah, all he had to do was just
dribble one more time. He was going to foul him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ball went out of bounds off Reggie Jackson. They gave you guys the ball anyways, even though
Reggie should have dropped that off the pass.
Kevin, can we admit now?
I don't believe it went out on Reggie, but I do think he should have passed that ball back to one of us.
Okay, all right, and then CP fouled Russ on a 3, which I don't know why you're fouling Russ on a 3,
which was a crazy attempt. When he pulled up for that, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then for him to foul him, I was like, I can't believe CP made these 2 bad decisions this late. The game was in hand. I had that one.
That was the lowest. And we went through some lows with the Clippers. You know, him getting hurt in the playoffs a couple times. That meltdown we had in 15 against Houston where we're up 3-1. I remember that, dude. That locker room in Game 7 in Houston after that game. I remember that. But that bus ride to the airport, that was as low as I've ever seen CP. That game just was fucking demoralizing.
But you don't remember we had y'all up 2 in Game 4, was it? We supposed to be up 3-1 coming back to OKC. We up 20 points in like the fourth quarter. 16, 17 points in the fourth quarter. Darren
Collison.
He had a quarter. Won the game. That plane ride back was that was probably the lowest point I had with the Thunder.
Yeah.
Man, because we had the series. Like, they had beat us game 1 at home, so we had to go on the road, and we went 2 on the road. Like, shit, that's our series. Now it's 2-2 coming back home. They got some momentum, and then they came out hot. I mean, it was just it just turned so fast. A series can turn so fast, and then shit, game 5 happened.
Do you think that was your first experience with just like the high-low swings of the playoffs?
Yeah, because we were expected to do big things that year. I felt like the years before, 2011, 12, 13, we wasn't expected to like go to the finals. You know what I'm saying? So now we at a level now where the expectation for us in the locker room and people around OKC is for us to win a championship. So for us to lose in the second round like that, being up 20, that was real ebb and flow of a series. I really felt that for the first time. And against the Clippers, it was just like, I hated the fucking Clippers. You know what I'm saying? Everybody did. That was just...
You guys did something
Everybody
to the
did
league.
hate us.
Yes, bro.
I think honestly it was because of what Draymond said. He was right. We were front runners.
When things were going well, it was.
We were very loud about it.
It was
when
hard
things
to
were
deal
going
with.
well.
It was hard because y'all would kick our ass.
Yeah.
Like 2000 when y'all first got together, 2012.
I think CP went 2012. Yeah, because he was there 2 years before I got there. So he went
you
right
wasn't
after the
there in
lockout.
2012. That was Randy Foye.
Yeah. And then the next year, those were the Vinny years, and then Doc and I came the same summer in 13. Yeah.
The Vinny years, when they first got together, I mean, they were playing so fast, and they beat us by 20 points every game in the regular season, and you heard it.
I seen Blake, I want to say his rookie year. Well, I guess, is it technically his rookie year? He missed his first year, but whatever it was. The first year he really hit the scene. I seen him in Sacramento, and it felt like a megastar was there. Everybody just wants to see him dunk. And any time any tip, it might look like a leak out, you could just feel the energy of just the crowd getting ready.
There's a little bit of Zion there.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? In terms of how they came out. And obviously Blake developed into an incredibly skilled player, passer, shooter, all that stuff. Zion is incredibly skilled as well in terms of his handling, his passing ability. He hasn't developed a shot yet, but that anticipation,
Yes.
that excitement around like a single play in a game,
Yeah.
those dunks that Blake had early in his career, they're like seared in every basketball fan's memory.
It's ridiculous. And it came to a point where even when he got into a pick and roll, you can see people start to like,
Yeah.
because you knew CP, they might double and CP drop it off. Once he get to the launching pad, it was like people were expecting that at a certain point. Do you think Blake would have been better as a 5?
Ooh, probably. I just don't know, like, defensively, when it came down to it, if that's gonna win you games in the playoffs. And I'm not saying Blake early in his career was bad defensively. I just don't know. And the league was different back then too. I just don't know if as a 5 it would have worked. My thing with that Clippers team was like, had we just been a step ahead of the rest of the NBA in terms of playing small, and maybe it wouldn't have worked like with Blake and DJ being the 4 and the 5. But if we had figured out a way to like play 3 and D guys, and by the way, I could play a little bit of defense early in my career, bro. I'm just saying, but around CP and a Blake pick and roll with shooters, around CP and DJ pick and roll with shooters, I think we, even though we had great offenses, but I think it would have been even better in the playoffs.
It's kind of crazy. It's recent as those teams were to think of a Blake and a DeAndre playing in the same offense. We never see that today. No. And if we, I won't say that because there are some teams that are playing a lot bigger and sizing up now. The Cavs do it, and the Celtics do it, and guys they're doing that, and it's helping them on defense in different ways and stuff. But it would look so foreign if we went back and looked at it. Even two bigs playing high-low, or it's like
Gasol and Zebo type of combo.
It's like fascinating that was that recent. I mean, we're talking 8 years ago. They're still doing it.
Yeah, and I feel like there's no going back either. Mm-hmm. I really believe that. Like, I don't know if there will be a team that says, "Oh no, we're gonna buck the trend, and we're gonna play a bunch. Like, we're gonna go back to like a grit and grind. Like, you need space. That is the NBA. It's all about space.
The power forward's never coming back.
No,
the traditional.
Bro, I had this tweet the other day. Some knucklehead said, if NBA teams played defense as hard as college kids, I bet you the scores would be in the 70s and 80s too. First of all, I mean, it's just math. First of all, the shot clock's longer. So there's going to be more possessions in an NBA game. And there's 8 more minutes of basketball. So fuckhead, that's not possible. But secondly, what he doesn't understand is you watch college basketball, man, I'm like, these guys have not evolved their philosophy since the 1980s or 1990s.
Same
it's
sets,
ridiculous. Same sets that I used to run, that I used to watch growing up, that Kansas used to run. I'm like, bro, do you know why it's so hard to play defense in the NBA? It's not because we can't, and it's not because we don't try. It's because there's fucking space, and the players are so good.
It's because they're guarding you.
Right. Doesn't matter what we do to him. He's
the best
still make it.
fucking athletes. And you think somebody's just going to guard up and hold a team to 70 points that has fucking a 30-point score on? Like, come on, man. No.
Kevin, I want to go back to something you said earlier about that little run. So you guys, I think the first year you made the playoffs was 2010.
Yeah.
And then in 12, obviously, you guys made the finals, a little bit of a surprise run. Maybe not to you, but certainly the basketball world. And then you guys traded James.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind when that trade went down?
Don't get canceled. Don't get in trouble.
See, yeah, you gotta
Kevin, this is a podcast, man. We got to be honest on podcasts.
At that point, like, I wasn't really hip to the business side of it. Like, I wasn't really locked in with the front office to like, yo, like, let's have a conversation about our team going forward. So this kind of the talks hit me out of nowhere. So I didn't really know how to deal with it at that point. So it was just like, I'm just focused on doing my job. Like, whoever coming here to play, like, it's cool. Like, we had a good run. We still got good players. And, you know, if it works for both sides, then let's just do it. You know what I'm saying? But then you see, because James came off the bench for us, and then you see how he plays as a starter. It was just like, hold up. Now, was that a good move? You know, 4 or 5 years later, it was just like, even this first game, yeah, 37,
Yeah, 35 and 10,
12, and winning games is just.
That was one of like the first NBA Twitter moments where it was like everybody who was league pass locked in. It's like, oh shit, they might have fucked up. Everybody felt like everybody's watching the game together.
So in the moment, it was like, all right, let's just move on, and you know, we'll focus on who we have here.
It's like a few days before the season too, right? Where this goes in.
Yeah, exactly. It all happened quick. It was like they were negotiating his rookie extension. I think they got up to $50 million. And he wanted the 5-year, $80 million, $80 million max. Houston gave it to him pretty much on the flight.
Right.
Houston.
Great investment.
But, so are you saying that 2022 Kevin, you feel like if it had been different, if you had existed in that space then, you would have just gone to the ownership and said, you got to pay the luxury tax. You got to keep us together.
For sure.
That was not on your radar then.
Yeah, it was just, I didn't feel like I had that relationship with our GM to just walk in and have conversations like that for one. You know, so I just had to be down with anything that they did. I mean, I didn't get the calls on, you know, this is who we looking at free agency. It was just like, you know, whoever they sign is who we sign and we're going to play with, you know what I'm saying? So, I'm 23 years old. So it was like, that wasn't even in my thought process to ask or demand anything from the front office. So
when did that click though? 16? That started for you in 16 when you started getting whatever you just, I don't forget the word you said, hip to the business side. Or whatever.
I want to say, I mean, right after that 13, 14, I just wanted to know who was going to be on my team. You know, I wanted to know the guys that we were playing with. I seen the league start to change. So obviously we wanted more shooters around. I wanted more skill on the team, you know, but I didn't have that relationship with Sam Presti in the front office. We were, you know, it was a good work relationship, but we didn't go deep into the business. So as time went on, I just wanted to get more informed on who was going to be on my team. And, you know, I started just digging into the business a little bit more.
You feel like that's the natural progression for like a star in the league? Like, or I don't know, the player empowerment era, like they say now. I feel like some guys show up now just demanding shit automatically.
I mean, you don't know much coming into the league, but just playing, you know. So you just want to focus on your craft and getting better and just hooping. But now it's just everything's out there. The rumor mill is so easy to, you know, it's easy to see these trade rumors and easy to be involved in this shit now. So, you know, and these dudes, you coming in with a good relationship with your GM and your owner, you know, so you can have these, you know, casual conversations about who's on the team.
Yeah, I would say, you don't know until you know. So as a young player, you don't know till you go through it and you have those experiences. And one of the things that happens over time is when you are a superstar or you're a star player and then you're on a max deal, like if you're smart, you see how people treat you. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. I got a little juice here. I might have to take advantage of this. That's our league. That's our league. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's our league. Our league is like historically speaking, you have to have a top 5 or a couple top 10 players to win a championship. To be a great team, you need that. And so if you are one of those guys, it's like all of a sudden you're like, there's an aha moment where, oh shit. And I didn't get that. Let's be
It
clear.
would
I didn't
benefit
get that.
a GM for you to bounce ideas off your best players. They out there playing the game. So it's not a bad thing that they partnering up with, some of those decisions on the roster.
But do you think that it's very different when we're talking about you specifically, where from that point on, it was very clear that any GM, owner, whatever, should be listening to you. Where it can become tricky is when guys think, maybe they don't think they're you specifically, but they think they should have that relationship with organizations, and maybe they shouldn't. Like maybe they're not good enough to deserve it.
I mean, some organizations, some roles are different in organizations. Some players
Are you
are.
talking about the Kings?
You might be the number one guy on your team. You might demand that.
just kidding.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If
Yeah.
you're the number one option on your team, you might get that. Each organization is different.
So I want to, before we get off the 2014 series, I always think about what you guys in that run. Do you feel like that was kind of your best shot at it? The Spurs, what did they do? The Spurs beat you guys in 6. And that was,
And then they beat the Heat in 5.
in 5.
They ran through the Heat.
And they were like, that was the bounce back year from them. I don't think a team's ever been closer to winning the finals than losing it. But you guys, like at that moment, did you feel like it was coming together for you guys?
Yeah, looking back, and I've talked about this with CP, and I've talked about this with Doc as well. I actually think that team was our best team, and we were really good in 15 as well. That team had depth, and you mentioned Derek Collison. Losing him, like he won us so many games that season in the regular season, and he won his playoff games too. We didn't have that depth that next year, and Austin got a lot better, but he was not ready to fulfill that role when he joined the team in 15. We used the mid-level on Spencer Hawes, and it was like an awkward fit, and he really didn't play a lot that year. So the one avenue we had to get depth was to use the mid-level to get a player, and Darren went to Sacramento for the mid-level, and we brought in Spencer because Doc was convinced we needed a backup big. And this goes back to our conversation. Like the philosophy was different then. I mean, now if you had a chance to keep a guard who can guard multiple positions, break down a defense, and shoot 40% from 3 for the mid-level.
Come on.
Come on.
You're down there max for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was our best team. And I'm not even saying that we would have beat the Spurs or we would have beat the Heat. I just think that was our best chance. That was our best chance that first year.
Was 15 you lost? That's when you lost the 3-1 lead.
15 we lost to Houston.
I thought that was your chance that year.
Once the Warriors won, once they broke through and won, those last 2 years were an exercise in futility. Like we really did. And then the third year was their 73-9 year. The fourth year, Kevin went
And then
there.
it was just like, all right, y'all wrap this shit up in LA.
Broke the league, ruined the league.
Somebody. I remember that last season in LA. I think we played Houston, and it was like one of those games where first half was fine. Second half, they got hot. We were trading twos for their threes. We ended up losing by 20. Body language got bad. And I remember reading this tweet after the game, and it was like, the Clippers are like a married couple waiting for their kids to go to college so they can finally get a divorce, And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that feels kind of right. That feels kind of right.
You could see that on the court, like this weird tension. And so it always cracks me up. Like, CP's done your pod a few times, and to hear how tight you guys actually were. I think you did Matt as well, and the same thing. It's just talked about how tight you guys were, and it's like they didn't look tight. I mean, they tight in a different way.
Yeah, I mean,
you could be both though.
Yeah, I mean, CP and I were always tight. But again, it goes like I talk about this all the time. CP and I talked about this on the podcast when he was on. But you know this, like if you recognize that a teammate of yours has the same agenda that you have, and that is just to go out and win basketball games by any means, it's okay to cuss that teammate out. Yeah. I can motherfuck CP, and we can go get a glass of wine and a meal after the game, and we can talk about our kids and family and life and basketball. And it doesn't affect our relationship. He didn't have that relationship with everybody on the team, And there was just, this is the NBA, And I'll actually, this is a question I have for you, because I think that Clippers team, in some respects, I was looking the other day. There was one year where we had 3 All-NBA guys. We were probably a super team, like DeAndre. Max contract and All-NBA, Blake max contract, All-NBA, CP max contract, All-NBA. And I think the dynamic on super teams is really difficult. And you've done it now twice.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you just about the inherent challenges that exist on playing on a super team. Not just the ego, because the ego is one thing, but roster building, figuring out who's going to have the highest usage rate. I mean, shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we had Golden State You want to count Clay, like 3 guys that can create their own shots. When you got 3 guys that can do that, then you can pretty much pair them with anyone. On your team, you had 2 guys that had to be force-fed baskets, So the other guys might be throwing off a rhythm sometime trying to get lobs or throw post-ups. Whereas we can create nothing out of something pretty quickly, So that played a factor into it. And when it comes to egos, we all were on the same page and just really wanting to win. I know it sounds simple, but like that's really what it was. Like every day is about, all right, how can we win this basketball game? Nothing else mattered. And when I got to Golden State, from the first to the last guy thought that, but like from the owner to like the ball boy, they thought about that shit too. You know what I'm saying? It's just like in June, like everything was like in June, like at the parade, like it was just always, we was always talking about that, so that shit matters too. Just that dialogue around the team, just that thought process of everybody. How you approaching every day has to be championship level mentality from the first to the last guy, owner to the ball boy. Everybody got to be thinking about it. And it was like that.
And could you tell that from the jump?
Yeah. Like when you lose like that in the finals, everybody came back hungry. Everybody wanted to just redeem themselves. It was just it's a rare feeling to have in the league.
Like the initial meeting, you sense it there.
Oh yeah.
When they're there, right? So that alone is like
we knew how
business.
We knew it, but we knew how big that summer was with losing the league, losing in the finals, and then me signing there. It was just so much noise around our team to start that season. We really locked in as a group.
Now these super teams, they do seem to flame out, like kind of infamously. Almost everyone we could think of, we can name, even your guys' teams. Do you think that tension and that pressure of just you have to win a title or you fail? You think it's that? You think it's kind of?
I think more so the business gets in the way more so than anything.
Yeah,
we want to stay together as long as possible.
Yeah,
but one guy might get paid for one guy, Sean Livingston retired, or I left in free agency. So stuff like that happens more so than.
I think I think you're right though. I think there is a cycle to it. And when you have, as I mentioned, when you have guys, the talent to win a championship, you have an obligation to go for it. And by going for it, you're sacrificing some future.
Mm-hmm.
You're trading your first round pick at the deadline nearly every fucking year to go get something.
Right.
Mm-hmm. We did that every year with the Clippers.
Yeah.
We did that every year. And, like I said this a bunch prior to the trade for James. I said, Philly to me is dumb to not do something with Ben because you have a window in the East. You have an MVP candidate in Joe. He's got an injury history. Like, you have an obligation to go for it this year. Now, I didn't know they were going to get James, obviously, but like, get 2 high-level players.
Yeah.
Get a pick back, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But like, you got to go for it. If you got the talent and that guy's healthy, you got to go for it.
Do you guys feel like that's the best approach? I talk to people about like LeBron. He kind of moves in cycles. It's been 4 years. This is year 4 now. And each of the last iterations, it kind of went like this. It's kind of flamed out. But you do kind of owe it to the team, like the Rams, right? Fuck them picks.
Yeah.
Like, we need now.
I feel like when you have a player that's reached elite status in this game where he can just control the game, that's when you should go for it.
You go for broke.
When you got the top 5 player in the league, it's like, all right, I know I have something to lean on at the end of games. Like, let's build around this. I mean, if you got, you see potential in that, then you don't want to, waste all your assets early on on trying to compete for a championship when your best player is still developing. But once you get to that elite status, then that's when you should go for it.
This is also to me a very complicated issue that you can't necessarily point to one thing, because whether it's player movement, teams not being loyal, everybody's so hungry for a championship.
Mm-hmm.
The discourse around what is a successful season and an unsuccessful season for nearly every team now is about a championship, or are we bottoming out to build for a championship? Mm-hmm. And so the life cycle of teams is inherently going to be shorter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The other part, I'll say this too, is, historically, like, we haven't seen a guy like LeBron play at this level,
and move around.
And move around, but also play at this level for this long.
Yeah.
So of course there's going to be a life cycle to every team he's on, and he's not going to be in one place. There's no John Stockton, Karl Malone duo that exists anymore. There's no loyalty in this thing. Like I read something today when I was doing my notes, and it's like Dre talking about Kevin, go do what's happy. You know, Andre Iguodala. Yeah, Kevin, go do what's happy. Do what's for you. And like that is the mindset of players now, because we recognize what the fuck teams are going to do to us.
Yes.
There's no loyalty.
Yes.
There's a real turning point. I mean, everybody points back to LeBron's decision, but I think even back to what the Celtics did, and KG kind of had to go through that and say, you know what, I got to just go for me. And there's other times in history, obviously, but there's definitely been a change of the guard in that sense. And it is kind of crazy. I was curious about how players feel, and I think it does seem like a lot of you guys sit back and go, hey, you got to do what's best for you. I mean, you got on the podium with Kyrie, did the same with the trade with James, and said the same thing. Hey, he has to go be happy, and we're cool with that. And I think it's not lip service. It's genuine.
I mean, you got to put yourself in the best situation you feel can maximize what you're doing, you know? And I think everybody understands that now.
Do you ever have younger guys hit you up asking for advice, trying to figure this out because you've now been in this situation a lot?
Yeah, for sure. More so about navigating through, you know, just life as a pro, but knowing that they got that decision that's coming up. What they should be looking for as it's coming up. You know, what was I looking for around that time? You know, being with an organization, I was with an expansion team basically. You know, so I helped build the foundation of that. So for me to leave that, you know, that was interesting to a lot of young players. You know, since they, you know, drafted by an organization, expect to stay there. You know, so yeah, they hit me up asking about what my thought process was throughout that situation and how I approach games, stuff like that. So it's good to have, and I think that's better in our league now that we got this open dialogue amongst each other, and you know, we bounce ideas off of each other as pros, and I'm sure that helps.
Kevin, what was that first year like for you? Getting drafted by Seattle, I think it was like 2 days before the first game, it basically comes out that they're going to try to relocate the team. Like playing that season in Seattle, knowing there's a good chance you'd never play in Seattle again, not even knowing where you would play the next season, but you're still with the same franchise. That's got to be super fucking surreal.
See, they told us that we'll be there for at least 3 to 4 years. So I settled in as if, you know, they'll make a house. Yeah, I bought a house. And I told my mom, I'm
sick
like,
city too. You would have had such a good time.
Yo, me and Jeff I'm like, Jeff, I think I'm gonna buy a house. He's like, nah, I'm gonna just wait. I'm gonna buy a condo downtown. I was like, you know what? That's actually a better idea. My mom's just so like, yo, we should just buy a house. I'm like, nah, I think we might. I don't know. So, but then the owner said we'd be here for 3 or 4 years. So I settled in a little bit. And towards the end of the year, we just kept hearing like, hold up, I think they making the change, you know, sooner than we thought. And I remember we were in San Antonio, probably a week left in the season. Clay Bennett came out and like gave us 3 options of like cities that they were looking at, like San Jose, I think it was San Diego, and then OKC. And we was just like, all right, you're from OKC. Like, we know what this is now. Like, so
we know what this is.
Around April is when I was like, all right, I'm moving into OKC.
It's gotta be a while. Like that 3 years in the row, right? You moved to Texas, then you moved to Seattle.
Yeah.
Okay, like it could not be much different dynamics in which you.
I prepared to stay in Seattle for 4 to 5 years, and then I figured we'd move, but I didn't know it would be that soon.
I want to talk about your guys' routines. I know this is something you've talked about a lot on your show, just your shooting routine when you were playing and how meticulous it has to be. And you're like a scientist with shooting. I've been watching him do his routine for a while now, and it's like, I wonder like when that stuff develops. And when you're 15, you're just shooting, right? Like, you know, but at some point you're a pro and you start putting together this workout that becomes your bread and butter.
I used to love watching Kevin's pregame routine.
I do too.
All that one leg pirouette spin. It's the Dirk workout, right?
That's where I stole it from.
Yeah. Honestly, I actually did have a routine when I was a kid.
Really?
And I think for me, the routine, the work, like always trying to get better at something, always try to master something that you could never master. That's kind of what I loved about basketball. So I always had a routine. And then I got to college. And I figured I want to be a frat kid for a couple years. So didn't have much of a routine there. And then my junior year, like summer before my junior year, they gave me a spreadsheet. I still have the spreadsheet. And it was day by day, hour by hour, what I was doing. And and I lost a bunch of weight. I got in incredible shape. I won ACC Player of the Year. I won the Rep Award for National Player of the Year. And I'm like, oh shit, like this is the rest of my life. And for the rest of my career, it was like that. And I mean, you know, our production company is named 342 because every Sunday in the off season, I go make 342 shots exactly. So like I was very OCD about the routine.
Why that number?
It's easy. You'll get this. There's 7 spots on the floor. I make 20 spot 2s, shoot 5 free throws, 20 spot 3s, shoot 5 free throws, 3 1 dribbles going right, shoot 5 free throws, 3 1 dribbles going left, shoot 5 free throws. That's 342 shots.
That's 7 spots. That's
How long would it take you to do that, Tommy?
On a good day, it'd be about 35 minutes.
I was gonna say
For you?
Yeah.
That's a great
With
workout.
one rebounder.
That sounds like a great workout.
What same guy rebounding and passing. Yeah.
And that was you said, how often did you do that?
Every Sunday in the off season.
Every Sunday.
And then during the season, like not as much late in my career, just because I had to preserve energy. But like there was times during the season I'd go to I do half that.
After practice?
After practice, I had a routine. Yeah. After shoot around, I had a routine. After shoot around routine, I had a routine. Like I had a routine on top of routines on top of routines. My game days were like to the minute.
He loves this shit.
Yeah,
he loves routines.
I'm just interested. How long did you work out after practice?
After practice?
Yeah,
not long. 20 minutes.
And just spot shots.
You know what it was? No,
movement.
Yeah. Especially my first 13 years.
Yeah,
a lot of like all the DHO stuff, pin down stuff. You know, sprinting in transition for transition threes. I worked on all that after practice.
But this was a big thing. I'm curious if this affected you at all. We talked about this all the time during COVID.
This was a question I had for you.
Everything else aside, all the other issues with COVID aside like that, it's like everyone's routine is completely fucked. And so all these different things you have, all of a sudden it gets thrown out the window, and you're used to doing a certain thing that's worked for you for however many years, and all of a sudden it's gone. Some guys can handle it better than others.
Did you feel like your routine? Yeah. Did you feel like your routine last year got thrown off at all? Especially coming back from a major injury? No.
Nah. I mean, what do you mean routine? Like, what do you mean? Like what I do on the court?
Yeah.
Nah. Why would it change?
But did you have because you had stuff like the pregame meal, like
oh yeah.
I mean,
I'm talking about just like
on my back. I still got my work in. I'm talking about my day got disrupted so
he's
many
like
fucking times.
I'm eating lunch, and if I don't eat lunch at 2:15,
and it's like I get to then you had to like you couldn't.
See, I didn't have a routine like that. It was just when I got on the court. It's just I just wing it outside of that.
But the arena, would you?
That's lucky.
Some days I made naps. Some days I made.
Oh no.
But when you clock in, it's. But you, it's all day. It's the whole
game days. It's like as soon as I wake up, the routine starts.
Freak out about
the routine starts all the way to the post game. 12 minutes and 25 seconds in the cold tub. I would time it like 12 minutes and 25 seconds because I'm such a sicko that they were like, yeah, do it for 12 minutes. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it for 12 minutes. But then sometimes I'd get in and I would be like, oh man, I started my timer a few seconds too early. I'm cheating myself. So just to be safe, I'm going to do 12 minutes and 25 seconds.
Oh, so you're a sicko.
Yeah, you are. That's why you're a sniper like that.
Yeah. But I'm about to say, like, I feel like that's probably the same part of your brain is just being obsessive with your shooting and being a great shooter, which you are.
I think to be a great
anything.
Shooter, any skill, to be great at any skill that requires hand-eye coordination, like you have to be. There's a level of obsession.
Yeah. I feel like when I just walk into any gym and I pick up any basketball and I just flick it at the rim, I could just. It's not even a workout. I feel like that's adding to me perfecting the skill of shooting.
Even if it's just like at an AU game and you're
just
it's part of the
whole
part
thing.
of the work, part of the build.
Yeah, because it's all touch at the end of the day. Muscle
memory. Do you feel like you've mastered basketball? I'm serious.
I have a follow up.
You're the person to
ask. I have a
ask.
follow up to this question, but yeah, get to this.
I master who I want to be out there.
Okay,
and that's I cast a pretty wide net. Yeah, when I play,
So
I mastered me. Yeah,
we did an ep a couple weeks ago with Luca, and we were talking to him about like who he likes to watch, and he said you, and he basically, to paraphrase what he was saying, he was like, it's not fair how easy it is for him to, especially talking about scoring, but really everything. Can you feel that, like, not like jealousy, but you know what I mean? Can you feel like other guys, like, can you feel their frustration a little bit about like you can do these things that they would have to work, months, years, whatever it is to figure out how to do, and this is just a thing you can just pick up just like that?
I used to feel that 5 or 6 years ago. It used to come from big men who can't dribble or run. And I used to feel just a little slight animosity towards what I was doing. But at this point now, it's been more so respect. But yeah, I felt that before.
It's funny. early on, and so in a couple of my ESPN hits, like back in November, I remember I said something along the lines that we were talking about best players in the league or MVP. You know, some dumb debate we were doing, and I was like, players. We sometimes we're like, we put Kevin over here, and then we compare everybody else. You know, and so I made a comment one time, and I was like, and obviously Kevin's the best player in the world, and then we started talking about, and like I don't mean like MVP, like MVP year to year is going to change. We talk about MVP for this year, like I think it's a fascinating conversation, but I'm like, Kevin is the best player in the world. There's no one that can do what Kevin does, and like LeBron's maybe the greatest player ever, but Kevin, like he's the best player in the world, and I like went on my Twitter account afterwards and I was like, oh God. Because it was like Steph stands, Lucas stands, LeBron stands, everybody coming for my head.
Yeah.
But I think as players, when I have conversations with players throughout my career, you know, last 10 years basically, it's like, who's the best player? Well, Kevin's the best player. No one can do what Kevin does.
Yeah. I feel like the style of play is it's just unique. Just, you know, how I approach the game, trying to score. Like it's just when I don't force it. That's the thing. So it looks natural.
You know what's funny? My observation the other night, and again, I mean, I'm hyping you up to Knox, and you took 24 shots that night, and I saw the box score after the game. I'm like, Kevin took 24 shots. Like, I don't know if I took 24 shots maybe once in my career, and like there was not a forced shot. I remember there was a fast break in the second half. It was like a 2-on-1, and you had a head of steam on the defender, and I'm like, oh, Kevin's just going to jump, try to draw a foul, and score, and like he made the right pass. He threw a bounce pass to the other. I think it was Bruce. He threw a bounce pass to Bruce. Bruce ended up fumbling or whatever, but I'm like, Kevin made the right play. Like that was my takeaway from that. Watching that, you know, in person. I watch maybe NBA every night, but like in person. You're not looking at your phone. I'm not looking at other box scores. I'm watching the game, and like that was the whole time. That's what I'm thinking. Like Kevin he plays the game the right way. When did that click for you? Because that is not something you had when you were 18, 19 years old. Like that is something that is developed. That is knowledge that gets passed down year to year.
When I got to college, I learned how to watch film. Coach Barnes taught me what to look for when I get the ball. And it grew from there. Once I got more opportunities to handle the ball out on the perimeter, 2013, I started watching film, seeing things in film a little different, openings that may happen before I see it, or where a guy should be in the offense. You know, and I understood that at any time, like I can raise up and take a shot. So knowing that I got that in my back pocket is fun. And like, all right, you open, like, you got it going tonight. Let me see. You know, it's knowing that I can pass first and then score whenever late in the clock if I need to. It keeps my teammates involved.
Is there ever a temptation, a little fucking, I don't know if it's a devil on your shoulder or a voice in your head that is just like, nah, just shoot over everybody every time down the floor, like go into God mode?
Nah, see. A lot of people ask why I don't get 60, 70-point games.
This is me on the way to the game. Shoot 40 times.
I try to break it down to people. It's like when I watch these dudes get 60 and 70, it's like the adjustments don't change from the opposing coach. If I come off a pick and roll and you want to drop the first play of the game and I switch the shot, you probably gonna make an adjustment. So I can't come off and get free looks anymore off a pick and roll. So if I come off a pin down, if I get a wide, if I come off a wide open pin down, what you think your coach is gonna say if I make a three the first quarter? Make an adjustment. So it's like it takes a lot for somebody to score big, 15 to 16 free throws, wide open 3-pointers. Like I'm not getting those looks.
Your whistle's crazy too.
You know what I'm saying? So shooting over 2 people, it's hard to get 60 points, 50 points, shooting over 2 people. So I got to play with adjustments from the opposing coach in game. Like you don't wait till after the game and say, damn, we should have trapped KD right there. He gave us 60. No, it's just they make adjustments on me.
So take the number of points out for a second. I wanted to ask you about the game 5 in the Milwaukee series last year, not even game 7.
Yeah.
Because that was pretty close to God mode in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Where they knew what was coming every time down. It didn't really matter. Is that a point where it's like you're in the playoffs and the flip switch, just the switch flips and you're just like, fuck it, I'm gonna do what I need to do?
Well, in that game, I felt like their whole plan was like, well, KD can't beat us by himself, so
yeah,
let him just go crazy. We're gonna lock everybody else up. So they were a little loose on their coverages. Left me 1-on-1 sometimes. They planned and dropped the whole game. It's just like, well, I mean, I made 17 of my 23 shots because I just felt like it was a regular season game as far as the coverage on defense. And then they ramped it up a bit after that, but I felt like they underestimated us that game.
Statistically, that's like one of the best playoff games ever. I think.
And I'm still pissed that I missed that free throw to get 50. It was like wide left, and I was just so hot because I should. The 50, 17, and 10 just looked way better than 49.
I was sitting with my boy, you know, Alan Yang for that game, and we were like, "Fuck, he scored 55," and you break it. It's like
that shit pissed me off.
57.
What?
You're right about that.
And that game was huge for me because when you have an Achilles injury, like. I had somewhat of a doubt, like, of my abilities, my physical abilities. So, like, I wanted to test to see, like, that's the best team that we're going to play. And playing 48 minutes is, like, that's the ultimate test to see what my body is. So, for me to get through that game in the way I did it, it was just, like, a huge milestone for me. You know what I'm saying?
Was there any point in that game where it's like, oh, I got to get a blow? That's
nah, because I was just so in it.
Yeah.
I was just so in that game 7, though. That game 7, I was gassed.
That extra 5 minutes.
It was
came
to
a
a point where I didn't know where I was one time. Like I was running back down court, and I was just such in a daze. Like I just felt like, it's like, hold on, what the fuck? And I never felt that in a game before, and I was just like, hold on, I may need a break. You know what I mean? He called a timeout right after that.
Did you think the 3-win? Did you think your foot was in the line?
Yeah, I knew it was. It's weird that you can feel that type of stuff. The clock running down or like your foot on the line. Like it just felt like, yeah. As soon as I stepped on it, I'm like, damn, I knew that.
It's like a shooter thing. You can feel the line.
It's like court awareness.
Yeah,
because we were having a discussion earlier about the Brady Manic elbow against Baylor, and we were talking about when you get to a certain level of basketball, you know, instinctively where everybody is on the court, and you know where you like. There were times where I'd run it for like a transition corner 3, and I knew that I had stepped out of bounds before the ref even blew his whistle. Yeah. You just know, like,
just being on the court for so long, you know every angle, you just know every crack and crevice of you just know it.
It was blatantly obvious by game 7 that Milwaukee's plan was basically, you know, we're like, KD can't beat us, and he fucking nearly did.
Let him die out there. Just let him die out there.
He can't beat us alone. He nearly did.
It was also funny. I mean, we've had Drew on a couple of times since that series, and this is a guy we've talked about with you. We talked about with a million people on the show. Arguably, you know, one of the best defensive players in the league. And he was saying about, he's like, I think he literally said, like, we're like, how do you defend Kevin? He's like, you just play defense and then you just pray. You just like hope it doesn't go in. Like,
I've seen that.
Like,
I've seen he
there's
said
like
that.
nothing else you can do. And so it's like against guys like that of all people, it's not like these are guys who don't know how to play defense.
I mean, they definitely. I mean, Drew Holiday is tough to score on, though. You know what I'm saying? He definitely makes every attempt tough. When guys are physical, you got to dive a little deeper, use a little bit more energy. You know, and that team was super physical with PJ. You switch off with Giannis and you switch off with Drew. So anywhere you went, you was going against somebody that's going to either body me up, ride me as I'm going to the rim. So I had to be on point.
I always felt that way with Kobe. That was like, I didn't guard you enough to feel that, but like I guard D Wade, I guard Manu.
Yeah.
You know, those were tough matchups. But like I guard Kobe, and I'd be like, he's either going to make or he's going to miss. Like that was my, like, I can make it hard on him, whatever the fuck that means. But like ultimately, Kobe's either going to make it or miss it. There wasn't a whole lot you could do.
Yeah, Kobe had I want to say 2008 to like 2013, it was no defense for him, but to like
before he tore his Achilles. Yeah.
It's like extra help and or just full out double.
But everybody always talks about you, and there's other guys that get mentioned in this sort of thing, but like everybody's always like, KD, he's the definition of a hooper. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what is your definition? What does it mean to be a hooper? What's the difference between a hooper
hoopers, like,
and no? There's a difference though.
Nah, man, we all spend time in gyms. That's what a hooper is to me. I spend a lot of time in the gym.
Do you think there's a difference? Which one are you?
I think there's a love. Like a basketball player is someone that, like a player in the NBA. You can be a basketball player and be like, I'm good at this and I can make money and I like everything that comes with it. A hooper is someone that, like, is
who
you
in
know,
the gym at all times, like who
Yeah.
likes being in the gym. Like non-hoopers to me, just it's a job. It's just they only do it when there's time.
how much
to clock in.
do you think that the addiction to basketball extends off the court? Because I think like Jamal Crawford's a great example of this. Like Jamal, if he's not playing basketball, he's coaching his son in basketball. He's thinking about basketball. He's watching basketball. Like I think that it's being a hooper is to me is like your whole life is an extension of what happens on the court.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, our lives are wrapped around this game since we was 8, 9 years old, every day, and dedicated to playing. So yeah, I mean, it's just taking over life of its own right now. But it's like, you know, we've been in school for this since we were kids. So it's like you got so much knowledge and info, and so many other people love basketball. It's just hard to get away from it at this point. It's like you're always going to talk about it. It's always going to be on TV. It's the coolest thing now. Like it's culturally cool, you know. So it's just in our DNA at this point. When you play for this long, how many years you played in the league?
15. Yeah.
I mean, 15 years of 6 months out of each year, you locked
This is
in
15 for you, right? Because
Yeah.
you came in a year after me. Yeah.
Yeah, 14 on the court
Yeah. Right.
because I missed that year, but
Yeah.
I mean,
But 15 getting paid.
15 getting paid. Man. I said, don't tell. I'm not 14. I'm 15 years in. I got that check.
Do you think we get in like to these discussions all the time, whether it's on Twitter, you know, I do it on ESPN all the time. We do it on the podcast, like comparing eras. But even in just your era, from when you came in the NBA, how much harder was it then to score 30 in a game than it is now?
It was so hard to score 30. Back then, I mean, you got two guys in the paint. And it wasn't exotic offenses like we got now. Multiple screens. How many?
Eddie and I were talking yesterday, and I was like, "Yo, Katie." We were like, "Katie used to run Rip Hamilton floppy action his rookie year in Seattle. That's all they ran
That
for
was
you."
everyone. That was the key play, and that seemed like you just were out of this world as an offense if you ran a floppy. But now, you know, you got coaches dedicated to just finding trick pet plays to get you open and get you in space. But back then, it was like you had to kind of create your own space out of nothing, and the mid range was key because you can't, you know, it wasn't a lot of threes being put up, and the paint was clogged. So scoring 30, man, you had to make tough shots back then. Now it's way easier.
One of the fun things that happened in my career, and I feel like I came in the league probably like 5 or 6 years too soon, is when I first came in the league, if you were a great shooter, like you were shooting spot threes.
Yeah.
You were waiting on a double team in the post or someone, the low man to come over and this swing to the corner. And then all of a sudden people were like, oh, wait a minute. This guy, he shoots 40% from three. He's shooting 3 or 4 a game. If we can get up to 8 a game, like our offensive efficiency goes way up. So the creativeness, and Duncan Robinson is a great example of this, like the sets they used to get him open with Spo, the sets Doc used for me, the sets Brett Brown used for me. Like that was fun to me. And you talk about like the exotic offenses, like the counter to the counter to the counter. Like these things are in the scouting report. We got to counter for that to get an open three.
Exactly. I mean, having shooters that can run off the screens and shoot the ball quick, that's a supreme skill. And you have to have that if you want to have an exotic offense. Like it's built around guys like that. You see Steph Clay. You even see, like, we played Ben McLemore last week.
Yeah.
This guy had 5 threes in the first half, but all of them was off of pet plays, fades to the corner, double screen on the baseline. He coming off shooting quick. So it's like anybody could get hot on you in the league and beat you. It's like any given Sunday now with the 3-point line and the way they running sets for threes.
To that point, though, sorry, but to that point, while it's hard. It was harder to score back then. It's easier to score now. Some of that is as well to me is I think the talent pool. I'm not saying that the great players now are better than the great players 20 years ago. I'm saying there's more great players now.
Yeah, I believe so too.
Than there were talent. Yeah. Than there were 30 years ago.
You look at the centers now. Most of them can shoot threes. Take the ball off the dribble, make a bounce pass. You just got some skill for offense. Not a lot of back to the basket bigs. All power forwards in our league, so and that's what really changed the league. To be honest, I think Draymond played a huge part in shifting that with being a 4-man that can guard 5s and being able to dribble and play so fast. Kind of took out that traditional big that just like to sit in the paint.
I didn't tell Draymond this because I didn't want to offend him, but when we had him on the podcast, I wanted to tell him this. But I remember there was a moment I think it was his second year, but it was my first year with the Clippers. And we were playing late in the season. I missed a bunch of games that year with my back injury, and we were playing late in the regular season. And he was in the game in like the second or third quarter. And I remember thinking to myself, like, what does he do? Because back then, like you know, this like you got to do one thing great. You know, I'm like, what does he do? Like, and I was fucking horribly wrong on this take, but I was like, man, he's the worst rotation player in the league. Like he doesn't do anything great. But it was different back then. The philosophy was like Swiss Army guys, and obviously Draymond became, you know, through experience and obviously his natural intellect, but he became one of the smartest basketball players ever. I didn't know he had that, of course.
I mean, he even would tell you that he came in, he didn't even know how he wanted to play.
Because he was his identity. Like, what's my identity?
He was playing a 3. He was playing some 4 sometimes, but he was mainly a wing player with Mark Jackson. He was coming into the games to provide a defensive presence on the wing players. He wasn't really playing this Draymond role that he is now. But once he got moved to playing a small ball 4 and 5, then I think that's when the league took off and you've seen way more skill from top to bottom in your lineup.
You look at teams like Toronto, they're just loading up on 6'8", 6'9", 6'10". Hopefully you can guard all of this. And that's like the counter to a guy like you. Like, you know, and then you look at college, which I'm sure we'll talk about, and you guys, they're looking for 6'10", 7-foot guards essentially now.
I mean, that's my theory on where basketball will go in the future. It's going to be nothing but 6'9s up and down the board from point guard to center. And it's just
that French kid, Victor.
Yeah.
He's like make-believe. But that's what that's like the future of basketball.
Length, athleticism, skill.
Kevin's talking about himself.
Like, I'm talking about
the future of basketball. The future of basketball. There's a bunch of me's running around.
Do you feel that though? Like, are you aware of that? You understand that impact?
Look at the Clippers. They just spamming wing players. Look at Toronto, like you said. Everybody's one wing player. That's just
Boston.
I just happen to be a wing player. You know, but like you got guys that can guard 1 through 5 now. I mean, when you got stretch bigs, you can 6'9" guy can guard a stretch big.
How about the short-lived era of the stretch 4? Think about that. There's no such thing as a stretch 4 anymore.
Like the 10 and high, like those type of guys.
You either got to be a center or you got to be able to handle and guard 1 through 4. Like I'm not going to name names, but like
why not?
Because like most of them are my friends because I play with them in Orlando.
It's easier than that.
We invented the stretch 4. No, but it's
Shout
like
out short.
It's just it's like that. It was like a I don't know 8-year, like 08, 09 to like 17, 18, and all of a sudden it was like, oh no, we could just put Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown at 3 and the 4, and we're good. Yeah.
That Orlando team was revolutionary too in that same way.
That team, yeah. I mean, do you think that team was playing a huge part of what's
like,
going on now
for this like era? Right. To me, it started with Phoenix. It started with the 7 seconds or less, Steve Nash, D'Antoni Suns, where they're chucking threes. And
05, 06 Phoenix teams. 04,
04, 05, 05, 06. Yeah, it started then.
Playing
our shit was an accident.
Boris.
Because in preseason, Tony Battie hurt his shoulder guarding Dwight in a preseason workout. And he was going to start at the 4. And Rashard was going to start at the 3. And Turk was going to come off the bench. So then in preseason, like, sort of by accident, they were like, all right, we got to go small. So they tried to play Turk at the 4, and he was not having it. He was like, because again, back then he's guarding Zach Randolph. He's like, nah. I'm not doing this. Yeah. I'm not doing this. So Rashard, because he's a fucking pro, was like, I'll do it. And all of a sudden we ran that offense, and truthfully, like the first time I heard about analytics was with Stan. He broke it down for us. He's like, this is what a corner 3 is worth. This is what a layup is worth. Historically, this is what a mid-range is worth. Here's what we want our shot profile to be. And if you look now, like we would have been bottom 5 in the league in 3-point attempts per game. But at the time, it was revolutionary to play 4 out, 1 in, space and have space in the paint all the time, allowing Jameer to get downhill, allowing Turk to get downhill.
Do you think Rashard turned into just a catch and shoot player though? Because I felt like in Seattle he was more
a problem on the block,
on the block, off the dribble too. But I felt like when he got to Orlando, it was a lot of just catch and shoots.
Yeah, he was playing a role though because we put the ball in Turk's hands. Yeah, and obviously Jameer had an All-Star year. He probably could have been an All-Star a couple more years. But Turk played such a role on those teams, and then to a degree, like Rashard, he was older at that time. He was by the time we sort of ended that run in 11, 12. Rashard was well into his 30s at that time.
Yeah,
I think people forget how close that finals was. I know you were just talking about it with Powell, like. it swung several times and could just have easily been 2-1 you guys, maybe 3-1 you guys, and shit just broke. But that team was like, what you guys did to the Cavs, like nobody expected that.
We that year we kind of came out of nowhere. Our 2010 team was actually better. We were deeper.
Yeah,
Vince on that team.
Yeah, Vince was on that team. We were better that year. We just kind of we tricked off. We had home court against the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. We tricked off the first 2 games and we lost in 6. I mean, we couldn't come back from that. That team was too good. That Celtics team. But I think what people tend to like overlook as time goes on is how much playoff series finals they swing on 2 plays, 3 plays. Our series against the Lakers was Courtney Lee's missed layup at the end of overtime or at the end of regulation in game 2, us being up 5 in game 4 with under 40 seconds to go. They come back and tie it. We missed free throws. We missed a pull-up jumper. Derek Fisher hits a 3. Last year's finals came down to 2 plays: Giannis's recovery block, and then Drew's steal and Giannis's dunk. Like it was 2 plays. So when your finals, because you guys beat the shit out of them the first year, right? The first year was the 4-0 year, right?
No, second year was
4-0.
First year, it was. We went up 2-0 at home, but game 3 they had a chance to beat us. I think we were down most of that game to like the last minute.
That's the Corver shot, right? That game.
Yeah, if Corver would have hit that shot,
that's right.
They'd have went up 5. He had an open corner 3, and that would have sent us home. Then they had the most historic shooting night in finals history of game 4. So who knows what that'd have been like. 2-2 going back to the Bay, But and then in 2012 we won game 1 at home. Game 2 we were down big and end up having a shot to tie it with a couple seconds to go. I still should have made the shot. People say I got fouled, but I should have made it. I don't believe I got fouled.
Thought it was a good look.
That would have changed. I mean, we'd have been up 2-0 going to Miami, and that's when it was 2-3-2 series too. So we played 3 straight games in Miami. Yeah, that was So it could change in a matter of just one possession.
Did you have any doubt in the Rockets series?
And it's 18.
The year where Chris got hurt.
I knew that we can crawl out of that, but that was a tough position to be in. I can't lie, because nothing was working. Yeah. Nothing was working. Like our pet plays, they were switching everything. Like literally every screen was a switch. And when you got a team that relies on movement, offense, passing the ball, when you switching every screen like that and force everybody to play one-on-one, we had guys that didn't score in the isolation situations. Clay was solid, but he was used to coming off screens more so than anything and posting up guys. But off the dribble out at the 3-point line, he didn't really do that a lot. So me and Steph had to really play one-on-one that series, and the Warriors weren't really used to that. For 4 years, a team that schemed them that well, so that shit hit us like a brick. But we figured it out after Tommy and then CP getting hurt. That helped us for sure, But
when a team is melting down like that, you're conscious of it, and is it like, I gotta put the foot on the gas, or you just still doing your own shit? And
in that series,
yeah. And then game 7 too, right? That's when they missed all the shots.
Yeah, and we got down 15. We walked into that locker room like, oh shit, this can't be it. Like we're losing with OCP. We had big dreams of just destroy the league, and we're gonna end up like this. So coming out that half, I think we might hit a 3 to come out the half. And once we hit the first 3, I'm like, all right, we got our legs up under us. I knew we was gonna walk them down after we made our first shot, and then they couldn't hit a 3.
That was where they missed like 21 in a row or something.
27
in a row.
And they had like some wide open ones, and they were like front rim. I'm like,
good shooters, good shots.
It was just meant for us to go to the finals.
It was nuts.
I felt that way.
We all have our favorite go-tos, right? Shirts, sweaters, jeans, the stuff you wear all the time. But what actually makes them your go-tos? The answer is simple: comfort and style. Well, I was getting dressed this morning and realized almost all of my go-tos are from Buck Mason. Buck Mason's clothes are second to none because they're timeless and never go out of style. Everything I get fits great right out of the box and quickly becomes my new favorite.
Buck Mason makes all the essentials: jeans, shirts, jackets, and so much more. The curved hem tee is awesome. GQ calls it the best t-shirt in the game. And even after wearing them and putting them through wash after wash, they look just as good as when I first wore them.
Yeah, Tommy, they just fit great and feel amazing, perfect for going out or lounging around. Trust me, once you try Buck Mason, they'll become your go-tos as well. So head over to buckmason.com/JJ and get a free t-shirt with your first order. I said that right. It's a free t-shirt with your first order. That's buckmason.com/JJ. buckmason.com/JJ to get a free t-shirt with your first order. Hey y'all, don't let aches and pains keep you away from your fitness goals. New Plus CBD pain relief topicals soothe sore muscles and joints so you power through your workout and bounce back faster between sessions. I myself know all too well how aches and pains can slow you down, and the Sport Recovery Stick has really helped my body feel great and respond exactly the way it should.
Plus CBD pain relief topicals feature a potent blend of CBD and menthol and camphor to keep you pain-free and performing at your best. It doesn't matter if you're competing at the highest level or just trying to stay fit, the Plus CBD Sport Recovery Stick and Penetrating Pain Cream are the perfect complements to your training routine.
All Plus CBD products are third-party tested and fully traceable from seed to shelf. That's a big reason why they're the #1 selling natural hemp extract in the U.S. And don't forget, Plus CBD also offers sleep gummies to help make restless nights a thing of the past, among several other products. So make the right choice. Shop now at pluscbdoil.com and enter promo code JJ for 40% off your first order. That's pluscbdoil.com, promo code JJ, 40% off. Do it.
I want to get into media with you. You've mentioned a bunch of your TV hits and stuff, and I always joke with him, this dynamic of a former player up there saying, yo, these guys suck, and here's why. But you got into it early. You were potting real early. I think you're the pioneer there. I don't know if you take credit, but I think you are, as best I know.
The first active guy, baby. Whatever.
Yeah, hey,
whatever.
Revolutionized the industry, no big deal.
Definitely takes credit.
As you said, was media always the plan for you, or did somewhere it develop to like, yo, this is a lane for me?
I actually didn't really start the podcast because I was like, I'm going to have a career in media. I started it because I was curious if I could do something besides basketball. It was just simple. And then it became like, oh, I'll get some reps. I did a couple, countdown hits when I played for the Clippers. Like, do I like it? And then I just, honestly, Tommy and I met at the Ringer. And we launched, he came as a co-host my last year with the Ringer. I did 3 years with the Ringer, and then we launched The Old Man in 3. But like, I don't know if my life is going to be in media. Like I'm just open to things, and I like what I'm doing right now. It's like when I was playing, I had the greatest job in the world. It was my dream to play in the NBA, and then this has just been fun. It's been rewarding, and I like doing it. I'm gonna ask him why the fuck do you have a podcast? Like, you're Kevin Durant, bro.
Like I said, man, I just like talking about the game. I just like talking, to be honest. Yeah. Just like you, man. Shit, you got so much knowledge and info, you wouldn't mind just sharing it, simple, so.
I think part of the appeal of the podcast too, in current media space, and granted, dude, like I work at ESPN sometimes, but like this really is what like the meat is.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
when we can really talk hoops with like, there's no commercial breaks here, man. There's
right. How long are we in? We're at least an hour in. And just
it's just a conversation about basketball, about memories, stories, whatever, connections. People that watch this or listen to this will be like Kevin and I were never teammates, but like there's a mutual respect there.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of guys I have on, we have on. We don't know the guy before we even have him on.
Yeah.
But like they want to come on the show, we want to have them on the show. There's an inherent respect. There's peer to peer. So having conversations like that is, man, it's fun. It's enjoyable.
Yeah.
And like what we were talking about earlier, like I love basketball. I knew I loved basketball when I played. I didn't realize how much I loved it till I retired.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Like I remember when I retired, I was like, man, I'm not really going to watch the NBA this year. I'm not going to really watch the NBA. And then I booked a golf trip first week of the NBA season, and I played
Just to get away from
just because I'm like I'm going to watch opening night. No, I'm going to book this golf trip. So I went and played golf, and then I got back, and that's when ESPN was like, "Do you want to come work for us?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, whatever." So then I was like, I'm going to work Tuesday. So I was like, I got to watch the game Monday night, And then I'm like, all right, I watched the game Monday night. And then like
Tuesday turn into Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. And all of a sudden I'm like, I'm back on it. Like if the TV's on in my house, it's basketball. It doesn't matter. Like I've watched
a relationship.
I've watched more college basketball.
Almost dumped her, but he's back.
Women's college basketball, men's college basketball, NBA. Like if there's basketball on the television, I'm fucking watching. I don't care what it is.
We were watching McDonald's All-American. Like coming from the game, get to the house, put a game on, watching.
I wanted to ask you guys about. We talk about this all the time with different guys. Like, who do you like watching in the league right now?
I was wondering the same with you. Like, do you have rooting interests? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna name the guys that I'm super tight with. Like, I like watching CP play, but like the guy for me right now is Book. I love watching Book play.
I was gonna say
beautiful
Book.
game. Beautiful game.
I was gonna say Book too. I mean, this is a pretty game for one, but I just think he's really mastering who he is right now. He's figuring it out, like how to play at an elite level, but still win. Because he always was scoring the ball, but he knows how to win.
For me, it's Kyrie. When he came back, did you remember what I texted you when he came back?
Yeah, I mean, he's like you said, he's just in his other planet, his other world. Like I reserve time to watch that. Yeah,
exactly.
Who else is on that? Who else is on that level? Take yourself out of it. Who else is on that level where you're like, okay, they operate differently. They operate on a different like tier than everybody else.
Joel, for sure.
He doesn't make sense.
It's ridiculous what he can do. I think Giannis is in that tier, especially when he's making them turnarounds from the post. Like he made one last night.
Yeah, we was bugging.
Like when he's making shots like that, it's just. And then I think Bron was reached that tier for me this year. The shot making was been incredible this season. Shit, there's so many dudes, but I just like watching. I like shot makers, and I feel like now in our league, it's so many great shot makers, and it might not be the superstar players, but it's some like Reggie Jackson to me has been making some amazing shots this year. Mm-hmm. Like guys like that have been playing well. Like fucking Sadiq Bey had 50 in the shots that he was making. He was shooting fadeaways in the post and fall away threes. I'm just like, I just love to see that shit. You know,
the thing about Giannis I'm glad you brought him up. Because for a guy that people like knock his skill because he doesn't shoot threes at a high clip or whatever. And by the way, his mid-range field goal percentage has gone up literally every year in his career. He's shooting 42% from the mid-range this year, which is well above league average.
Way better than what he was before.
Yeah, low 30s. But like he's another guy when you talk about like somebody mastering who they are, like he's just on his way every year, just mastering more and more and more. But the thing I like about him, and this is why I like watching him, is like we would be like, all right, guys, it's time to turn up. Like Giannis, you don't need to tell him that.
Yeah.
Like the skills competition at All-Star break,
he's
like he goes 100 out of 100 all the time.
There's a physicality.
And that, by the way, that is a skill. Yeah, like being able to do that every night,
a motor like that.
And the thing that impressed me, and I knew this about him, and I suspected this would happen. This guy wins 2 MVPs in a row. Following year, wins an NBA Finals. Is MVP of the Finals, has 50 in Game 6 in the closeout game. Short off season. Comes out looking for blood. Like he started the season so well. Where a lot of guys with a short off season probably would have taken it easy, probably would have taken games off, and he just came out like Giannis, 100 out of 100.
Yeah, a short off season though is beneficial though, in my opinion.
Think so?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you don't get much of a break. Your mind is just still in game mode. I feel like 3 months off and just totally, your mind is not even focused on a game or preparing for a game. That's just a totally different world to me. Because I know how to like shut it off where I don't worry about basketball at all. Those two mindsets are just two different things. But when you stay locked in, even if you don't get up on your feet to play, you still really in it, in my opinion.
What does shutting it off for Kevin Durant, what does that look like?
Like before I go to sleep, not worry about anything. Like the next day, like what I'll do when I work out, like what shots I'll take in my workout or what I'm gonna do.
Wait, you really do that? Like the night before? So like
just
in
like
off season, do you think about your next day's workout the day before and what you're gonna work on?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like what I'm gonna go through. I just like to get prepared, so
you're visualizing.
There's no surprises. Like if I'm gonna shoot 50 shots from 7 spots on the floor, then I want to get ready for that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to just be surprised now when I go into the gym. So I like to kind of mentally like, and I don't want to write things down too much that it'd be too.
I would go into even in season. I would go into workouts with like a purpose. So like on a Monday, I'd say, oh,
what did I do? What did I do on Friday? Oh, I did a lot of catch and shoot stuff. All right, today's going to be DHOs and one dribble pick and roll shots, and I work on that. But like I would go, like, if we lost on Friday in the playoffs, I go back in the gym Monday, but those days in between, I would write out my entire summer schedule, and I would take breaks. Like I would take, I needed to turn off a little bit, so I would
just
take
you.
But I would.
Is there like a coach? Or
I would take
you?
4-day breaks. I go Thursday to Sunday. I get away, or I July 4th weekend. I'm not doing shit. You know what I mean? But like every other day throughout the summer, like I knew where I was going to be at 10 a.m.
This explains the getting mad about not having lunch at 2:14 every game day.
Were you one of those guys who get frustrated at themselves when they're missing shots in the workout?
Oh yeah,
like cursing yourself out.
But you probably. I mean,
yeah, I do that, but it came to a certain point. I had to stop. I had to correct myself when I do shit like that.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't want to talk to myself that way.
The refs is cool, but you?
No. Yeah, I just had to. Because the next shot is important though, and I've always felt myself thinking about the last shot sometimes, and when I'm screaming "fuck" or pissed off like that, it can bleed over into the next shot. And I realized that, and I was like, "Hold on, maybe I gotta chill on how I talk to myself." So I wondered if other players thought like that.
Missing a jumper for you must feel like acid in your eyes.
I hate it. In a workout by myself, I don't feel like. Somebody told me that if you shooting 50% in a workout by yourself, then you're not a good shooter. Like I feel like I should be making 90% of my shots.
Yeah.
So if I miss,
yeah,
I'm pissed.
I think like an average workout for me in the off season, I'm shooting 80%, and I'm like shooting game shots. This is not spot shots. Spot shots. I'm shooting higher than that. I'm saying like game speed. I'm coming off a DHO. I'm getting to my right hand. I'm taking a step back. I'm doing that for an hour, and I might take 300, 400 shots, and at that game speed, and I'm like, I'll shoot 80%. That's an average workout for me. But there are days like you shoot 70%, and I would leave the gym, and I'm down on myself, bro. I'm down on myself, and it's a fucking workout in July. It doesn't matter.
Yo, I remember because I was going through my Achilles. I had a lot of those days where like I felt my jumper felt good, and then it would feel a little off here, and then I remember I went on a break for my birthday. I was in Cabo. And I swear I didn't have a good time because I was just like, fuck. Like, I can't believe, like, what is going on with me, basically? Like, I'm shooting the shit left. I'm going right. I was really thinking about this, and I had to, it's like questions you ask yourself, like, am I too involved in this shit right now? Like, where I can't.
Too invested in this life.
Yeah. And
especially after everything you've accomplished, because you're not just starting out. It's like you're having those thoughts after multiple championships, multiple finals MVPs, everything like that.
Yeah, I mean it was stressful.
We can wrap up, but to that point, like I'm actually very curious the mindset when you tore your Achilles. Did you go through the self-pity?
No.
You always had that like hearing you talk about this, I understand now why you have been so good coming off this injury. Because it seems like there was a point to prove, not just to everybody else, but like to yourself, like I can get back to being me.
Yeah, for sure.
Fuck this, I'm doing this.
Yeah. I mean, early on when I first did it, I was just, I did ask myself, should I have made a different decision going out there and play? Like, and then after 3 or 4 times, me asking myself, like, what good is that going to do? Like, so I moved past it pretty quick. But I knew it was going to be a struggle coming back. Like I just didn't, the uncertainty of how I was going to play was just fucking with me. Like every day, like watching games, like could I pull up on a break like that? Like, can I still get to the rim and jump off my right leg like that? Like, and I just wanted to try it out. So when like you can't try it, like I couldn't even run, so I was still doing calf raises, but in my mind I wanted to see if I could fucking dunk or shoot a fadeaway. You know what I'm saying? Like, so knowing that I couldn't even get in the gym for 4 months, that was just driving me crazy. So, but once I actually got a chance to like test it out, then that's when it went just downhill. Everything was better, but
until you could test it, that anxiety was just there all the time. But can I do it? Can I do it?
That would stop. Once I started getting into the gym, working out individually, and then playing pickup. But once it's like, all right, I need to see what it's like in a real NBA game,
Yeah.
And then once I did that in preseason, I'm like, all right, I need to see what playoff intent. Like it was just so much going on. I just wanted to get back to a point. So that's why I said in that Milwaukee series, it's like, all right, that was the final.
Yeah.
That was just the last stage of me, getting over that.
That makes sense.
I met him as he's recovering. And that's when we kind of got tight. And I remember going over there, and it was the first day you could jump and run.
Yeah, it was an exciting day.
And he was like, like a kid in an amusement park. He was just excited that he got to play basketball again.
Nice.
And so I was like, oh, this shit is real. And then just slowly, gradually getting there. And then, did you ever, that season in the bubble, you never considered playing it all next season?
Because I didn't feel right. I didn't feel like I can do certain things. Like I can be a decoy out there. I felt like I can maybe make a few shots, but I wasn't like commanding the game like I can now, you know? So I wasn't going to do it regardless.
It's true love, Kevin, basketball.
Well, fellas,
This has been awesome.
It's been great.
This has been awesome, man.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Been a fan of the show forever.
Guys, this is the first one. We'll do this
Yeah.
again.
We got to.
This is the OG crossover.
There it is.